thank you very much for joining me for a coffee with the editor. So exciting times for Traxtion. I think there's a milestone of note coming up.
We are turning 35 years old. Can you believe it? On the 25th of October. So I think one of the things when you look at 35 years of Traxtion's history is, and you look at our employee numbers. Some of our current staff's employee numbers are 2, 3, and 4. We've got people that have worked with us throughout this 35-year history. There are some sites where we've been on the same site now, providing services to the same customer for up to 24 years. Ultimately, what makes this company what it is, it's the people on those sites, the people across our business that have had this obsession from day one, which really is something that Roy Puffett inculcated into the business, is this obsession with providing quality services in everything that we do. And you know, to my mind, that's the story of longevity is embedded in quality. And it's the people that I thank for that as well. To think about a company that started with a toolbox and a bakkie 35 years ago and now has worked into this company that we think is sort of ingrained in the fabric of our regional railways.
Well, it definitely is, because if I am not mistaken, you're in 7 countries now in Africa, and I hear rumors of an 8th.
We are in 7 countries in Africa at the moment. Last year we went into Namibia and Senegal. Year before that we went into Zimbabwe, back into Zimbabwe. And now this year we are going to be going shortly into a new country, which we will announce shortly. Can't tell you exactly about that yet, but yes, we will be going to an 8th country soon. It's been a good year. The fleet is 100% deployed. I wish we had more capacity. We are trying to add on more capacity at the moment. We've got 6 of our locomotives in rebuild. That includes one of our Afro 4000s that we bought on the auction that was accident damaged. It includes 2 GT26s, 3 GE U20Cs. So those are all now in active rebuild, and we'll have those in service in the next 6 months. And then we are also looking to acquire additional locomotives to grow the fleet as well. We're looking at some wagons as well to expand the wagon fleet. We're busy looking to try and expand the fleet at the moment to take up and expand our existing operations.
Calabash, I'm sure, has been a little frustrating with the bridge closure.
Calabash, it's been a long road on this bridge. As you know, we're a joint venture partner in Calabash, and we do supply a lot of locomotives in there and wagons. We've done a lot of work through Calabash with Tazara in order to try and make the Kasama intermodal solution work, and we have run quite a few trains into Kasama. We have reduced the scope of the service from the normal service that we do run, because of the reduced capacity of being able to load and offload it at Kasama, but it's worked reasonably well. We're looking forward to restarting. The bridge is due for completion on the 30th of August. I believe the formal opening is going to be on the 15th of September, but basically from September we're going to be back up and running with normal operations all the way through to Ndola. In the meantime, with new volumes coming out of the DRC, the freight volumes out of the region have expanded hugely, and the trucking capacity has been really stretched. So, you know, from that perspective, we're coming back online, I think, at a very good time. SNCC is also opening up with some private operators potentially in future entering into the DRC. So, you know, that also speaks to being able to expand that service potentially at some stage in future. The private operators on the Tazara service, we have seen some of the capacity go away, obviously, over this time, but I do think that it's going to come back, just simply because there's a lot of freight demand with new volumes coming out of the DRC.
Let's bring it back home. You spoke about 35 years. It is a hell of an achievement if you consider where you've come, where you're going, and the fact that the Rosslyn Rail facility, or the Rosslyn Rail Hub, which has been open for like 4 years now, and the last time I was there, it was pretty full. Is it still the same picture?
Rosslyn is really pumping at the moment, adding additional office space at the moment in Rosslyn. We're painting the floors and we're completing our paint booth. So, you know, from that perspective, Rosslyn is sort of like a never-ending work in progress. But I guess the most important thing is how many locomotives are on the floor. You know, as I've said to you, we've got 6 of our locomotives now in active rebuild. And we've got 5 third-party locomotives in active rebuild. And we've got more third-party locomotives coming in. So we really are really busy at Rosslyn at the moment, which is exactly how we'd like to see it. Our component bays also has been a really good strategic move for the workshops, and the quality of the work that we're seeing coming out of there is really, really good. We, of course, continue to work with our trusted suppliers and our trusted third-party service providers, and we really do see that as a services hub. We're not trying to be all things to all people. We really want to continue to work with parties where we respect the quality of the work that they do, and where we think that's going to add to the quality of our locomotives and our customer locomotives. And to the extent that we can rely on third parties, we're never going to invest in that ourselves. We do see that facility as the base for providing really high quality interventions, major interventions to locomotives for our fleet and the South African market.
So the last time I was there, on your floor you had a couple of electric locomotives for a mining customer. That project finished now?
It's in the final stages of commissioning, and I'm very happy to report it's going exceptionally well. So that 8E upgrade program has delivered successfully, and together with our service partners there, which was Knorr-Bremse and TSD, we think that that's going to be a great market in future for electric locomotive upgrades, for shunting locomotives as well as mainline locomotives into the future. So a really exciting product addition for what Rosslyn can offer.
So I think one of the things that was quite key out of that project was that it was basically, a complete, pull it all down and rebuild it. So an absolutely complete modernization program for locomotives. And I think that's something you guys are making your market doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that was a modernization on the electric side. So now we've completed that. We're also starting to look at modernizations of the diesel fleet. We really do pride ourselves in being able to rebuild 40, even 50-year-old locomotives and getting amazing availabilities out of those locomotives in some very tough working environments. There does come a point where you need to start looking at upgrades, particularly as you start looking into the rail reform agenda that's coming in place across Africa. I was just reading recently about the Egyptian rail reform, where they're handing out 10-year access agreements. Coupled with that, I think it is time that we start looking at modernizations of the diesel fleet as well. And that's going to be an exciting new chapter, I think, for what we do at Rosslyn.
Your wheel shop. Have you finished the investment with the wheel shop?
Yes. So we finished the investment into the wheel shop at Rosslyn. We did debate whether we needed to invest into a Gibson ring roller in order to retire. So we looked at the business case associated with it, and we ultimately decided there wasn't a business case associated with retiring. The difference in price now between buying tires and retiring a disc versus buying a new disc is the cost is so small, the cost delta between the two is so small that the saving you get from retiring doesn't really justify the investment into that equipment. So we've decided against that, which actually then means that our investment into the wheel shop has come to a close. We've got what we need and what we need for now, certainly for the wheel shop.
And then, of course, your spares section. Last time I was there, they were still being built.
Our parts store is finished. We've got about 120 million rands of parts at any time based at Rosslyn. The companies that we are distributing parts to is growing all the time. It certainly is quite an exciting part of our business. We're currently investing into a float of parts, which we hadn't held in the past, in order to be able to improve the timelines for delivery for customers. And we'll look to continue to invest into that, especially obviously into high moving parts. And the more you sell parts, the more you learn, the more you get to understand what are high moving parts. We've also increased our supplier base all the time, and we will never move away from only supplying quality parts. You will never see one part come out of Traxtion that's not a high quality part.
Also happening at Rosslyn, new intakes for your training?
Yes, so the rail school we've taken on this year's intake. We've taken on another 4 trainee artisans coming into they come in as semi-school artisans, and as you know, they go through the 3-year training course, and at the end of the 3 years they leave with a Red Seal certificate. It's a huge cost investment that we put into all of those people, but when you're operating in this skills deficit that as we do in our industry, we feel it's firstly the responsible thing to do, but also it just makes a lot of business sense to make sure that we take control of the skills problem that we have in our market. The rail school, of course, doesn't only do that. We also have trained more than 700 drivers through the rail school. And then we do other training interventions across all of our staff on an ongoing basis to ensure that we continue to improve the quality of services that we provide. We're about to roll out a module now into locomotive fault finding, for example. And it's an important part of ensuring that we continue to improve all the time.
What's the plans for the next 12 months?
At Traxtion, we have this vision to change the way that freight moves in Africa. You know, we really believe in it, we're dedicated to it, and we think it's going to make that changing our railways and changing the way that freight moves improves the competitiveness of the regional economies. It's the upstream investment that is so exciting about what we do. So while we are a service provider to the economy, we're not the economy in itself, which I think it's important for railways to remember. But we are a service provider to the regional economies. As we improve the competitiveness of those economies, it creates this upstream investment. And it's this classic example of, you know, whereas in the railways, we could create 100 jobs to provide a rail service that can enable a mine that creates 5,000 or 10,000 jobs. We could invest in R1 billion of trains that can result in 20 billion rands for an industrial complex in terms of an investment. So, you know, that's the really exciting thing about changing the way the freight moves in Africa. And you know, at the end of the day, that's what Traxtion's dedicated to.